Sometimes we forget. And I feel like life has this strange request from us to remember, to keep remembering, even though we are wired to forget. Especially in a world that feels increasingly fake, increasingly manufactured, and with always a second agenda behind everything. It's very hard to find realness and to connect with things that feel natural, that feel organic, and that remember, that reflect that sort of divinely untouched, natural part within ourselves. This season, I have been taking a little moment for myself to go back inward to recalibrate. I feel like I'm onto a new journey, onto a new phase of my personal existence, my personal navigation in life, and a whole new way of seeing the world, understanding my surroundings, and therefore also placing myself in a whole new kind of way within the world that I'm navigating on a daily basis. As I was reassessing this new reality, I started to feel like my own process of creating was no longer coming from a very organic place, and it felt more like something that I was starting to do on autopilot, where I did not know in which way I should step up, present myself, be present, or even what the reason is to be present. So therefore I took some time to go inward, and to be honest, I was not planning on coming back. I did not expect to come back, but as now winter is about to come to its end, I mean, we have a little while, but February always brings this sunlight and something to look forward to, which is spring. It reminds me that perhaps this was just a season to recalibrate, a season to look inward and to shed the old leaves from my tree, to reconnect with new parts, to reground myself, reroot, dig deeper, and advance steadier as we take the lessons that the past years have brought with us and we try to process all the changes that have taken place in life recently. Sometimes it takes some time to recenter ourselves, to go inward. And it is only this week that I remembered that there's so much outside, there's so much nature, there's so much realness to reconnect with when the seasons change. And there's something very beautiful about there being seasons, because for me, it's a mirror and a reflection that everything we go through in our life, even our emotions or feelings, certain things that we experience, everything is just a season in our life. Nothing lasts forever. This is not lasting forever. And even if you felt a little lost in a certain place, this was a reminder from the world to me that every single place that you're in has a purpose, has a season for a reason. And it's not in vain, and you don't have to do anything. And even when life doesn't make sense, there's still purpose and direction. And perhaps it was to recalibrate and to figure out the next steps ahead. I'm very grateful for the things that we haven't manufactured, made up, or that don't necessarily make sense to our human brain, because it has always been. But they serve as a mirror of something within us. And that something is what I want to talk about today. Because reconnecting to that part of us that is organic, natural, and inexplicable or incomprehensible to the human brain is the soul and is what makes life feel real. I get sick in places where I feel like there's just no soul, and everything feels so generic. Is that the word? Generic? Everyone looks alike. Everybody is using the same language, has the same opinions, worries about the same things that don't even affect them on a daily basis, walks around with their faces in their phones all the time, are so disconnected from the people in their surroundings. Everything starts to look the same. And if you know me, you know I don't necessarily think that's inherently bad, or everything that looks like something else is therefore bad. But sometimes I yearn for something that feels real, that looks so imperfect, and that is not applauded by what feels like a mainstream machine that is constantly pushing what is right for us or what we should consume into our faces, that doesn't have us question our existence or even why we have to like the things we like and love the things we love and disagree with what we disagree with and take the road that is laid up before us. I don't like the road where we don't question, where everything is just manufactured for us, perhaps. And I've been missing that. I've been missing that soul. I've been missing that realness. And perhaps it is because I have shifted complete gears. And I was meant to be in a place where I was meant to observe the world in a different kind of way. And also understand the soul in a different way, understand people and places in a different way, in a way that is not always condescending or trying to put everything into a box or in a black or white kind of conceptualization, because that is what the world wants us to do, to label things as good or bad. That is what our mind wants to do. And that is not inherently bad either, but sometimes it takes away of the depth and the thousands of different shades in which life truly takes place, in which our existence actually is, explains itself, shows how vulnerable we are, how strange we are in our being, and how nothing ever stays the same. Everything is perspective, everything is light and shadows, angles. It's mathematics. Spirituality for me is a management of energy. In a way, I practice spirituality and I'm a very spiritual person because I noticed that our energy is everything. Our energy is our life force. It is life. It is our breath. It is the reason that I'm talking to you right now. It is what helps us to create something in this world. It is what helps us to bring love or destruction. It is cause and effect. Even if you don't put out energy, it doesn't mean you can't receive any. And energy doesn't disappear, it just transforms. So we are just particles, moving, changing, transforming, manipulating each other, influencing one another. And our mind has such a big influence on our energy. Our attention, the way we think, it directs our energy. And I feel like a lot of times we are so unaware and unconscious of how strongly our mind is in control of the way we manage our energy, our body, our movement, our time, our creativity. And we live in a world that tells us what to think, what to consume, where to look at. Our attention is one of the most expensive, valuable, how do you say that? Monetary exchanges. There's a word for that, but I'm not finding it. But you values, I don't know, valuable, I don't know, something like that. You understand what I'm saying, right? And it is our responsibility. And I'm urging you right now to remember that you are not passive, that you have a right and a strength and the consciousness to look inward and to stand up and to decide what you pay attention to, and to look at your life and wonder in how much have you been sleepwalking? How much are you just a passive consumer of your life? And are you even at the steering wheel? Do you like the things you like because you like them, or just because you haven't ever thought about what you really feel and what you really think? Spirituality is so powerful for me because to me it is so connected to the senses. Our truth lies in our senses. Our truth lies in our senses. And our body is such a incredibly intelligent technology. It has the answers for us, but we are not taught how precious and how beautiful our body is. And we learn to doubt ourselves, to not love ourselves, to hate ourselves, to put our power into other institutions and people and put other things on a pedestal, when I truly believe that if we would only realize how powerful the technology is that we have within. Anyways, I have studied media and technology studies, so I have learned a lot about how software and hardware changes our relationship to life and to self and to each other. And our being is a highly intelligent technology that we yet have to fully comprehend, if even possible, as it is ever changing and beyond our comprehension. And I feel like that's where we create concepts like gods, because we are trying to understand and captivate that intelligence that exists outside of time and space and matter. It is an inner compass that guides us, a silent little voice that nudges us, that comforts us, that shows us the way, that reminds us that even when we feel lost and we don't know where we're going, everything is making sense and we're going in the right direction, even though we don't know the destination. It's powerful. Technology is insane. And I feel like as our technology is evolving as fast as it is also a mirror to the technology that is our mind, our body, our spirit, our emotional body. It is very powerful. And reconnecting with that, nothing makes me feel more real and alive than that does. Perhaps that is also the need for religion, the need for spirituality, the way to reconnect with our technology. It's an ancient intelligence that exists outside of time, space, and matter, therefore incomprehensible to the human mind, only attempted to be understood by conceptualizing different types of gods and divine entities, which serve as a reflection of the moments of knowing we have caught throughout the way in our experiences. I was writing a little bit earlier about what I was feeling. There will be moments of knowing, and I feel like those are the moments that we are connected to, that divine intelligence within us that remembers that everything is making sense. Everything has a start and a beginning, or has always been. And there is a part of us inside that knows. And I feel like that is that divine particle, whatever you want to call it. It's science for me. It's more science than woohoo and spirituality and religion, because it feels real and it is my body and it is what I experience. But we are being gaslit to the max. Our senses numbed. Our voices silenced. And I bet you, perhaps half of the voices you hear in your head aren't even yours. But we aren't even learned to discern our own voice with the outside voices. We are just learned to listen to external voices all the time. When it comes to God, one last thing there, we don't have to agree on what it is and what it serves, why it doesn't always align with what we all say. People love to argue about it. People love to prove their own right, try to prove right their religion or their God is the real one and someone else's isn't. For me, it is not about that. For me, that is just another distraction to divide, to put our attention somewhere else. It doesn't grow love. It doesn't grow consciousness, maybe in certain derouted ways, yes, but not directly, you know? I feel like the most important part is that we are aware of its existence and make a conscious effort for ourselves to connect with that part of ourselves, because it's trying to tell us something, you know? And your truth is the only thing that matters in the end of the day, and it's based on your experiences and your soul and your path. No one else has ever walked a mile in your shoes. So it is up to us to learn to trust our own legs, the paths that we have walked, and our hearts, more than whatever other people say or what projections they lay onto us, or how they try to prove us right or wrong. At the end of the day, it's you versus you. I truly believe that. I live by that. And only by doing what's right for you, I feel you can add your stone of realness to the world. Yes, you will not please everyone. Not everyone would like you, but you're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to find your people. And only by listening to our inner voice can we surround ourselves with people that truly love us for who we are and want us in our life, and that serve a purpose, that are meant to walk our destination, where we have perhaps a stop together on the route, where we are meant to create, make love, make life, make art together, support each other through hard times. dance together, sing together, party, love, laugh, live. But the more you don't listen to that inner voice and the more you try to please the masses and do what everyone tells you to do and live according to the world, the harder you make it to yourself to find the path that is exactly for you. The more you surround yourself with voices that don't really care about your well-being and what is right for you and what you came here on earth to do. So it's trying to show you the way forth and remind you of your power. Remember your strength. Remember who you are and where you came from. And fuck all that fake shit.